Welcome to the Lovecars on the Grid podcast, your global motorsport roundup with me, Tiff, Needell and Paul Woodman.
Welcome to Lovecars on the Grid, where as usual we go round the world seeking the most exciting entertainment. But there was no Grand Prix last weekend, but the Formula One world is still reeling from the sudden sacking of Christian Horner. In World Sports Cars, it was a Cadillac 1-2 in Brazil, but an embarrassing weekend for their balance of power calculations. It all looked wrong to me. It was a crash fest of a MotoGP, but no one was stopping Mark Marquez. That was over in Germany. Oliver Rowland claimed the Formula E World Championship in Germany. In America, neither Indycar nor NASCAR really came up with anything that exciting, to be honest. While back home, there were World Superbikes at Donington, British GTs at Snetterton, and glorious sunshine at glorious Goodwood Festival. But first, there's
no secret that you do that a lot better than me. So I think you should do it every week, actually, the intro.
Well, as I write it, you just mess it up. I think it's a good idea. And where are you now? You've got your head in one. Where are you, in China or something?
Well, just for the regular listeners and viewers, my preparation has never been the best because I've got a million one plate spinning. I'm an enthusiastic amateur at everything, whereas he's a real professional. He'll practice and go over lines all the time, and I just sort of do it ad hoc. I am currently on a bit of a trip over to visit some family in Australia. So with my daughter before she goes to university, can't afford it. But you know what? You only live once. So having the best time ever with her. She can drink, by the way. My goodness. She's teaching me.
Actually, you're not a big drinker.
No, I'm not a big drinker.
I know.
No, but she can. So, yes, Christian Horner.
Mate, going back on that, being your daughter probably made her into a big drinker. Yes. The news is sort of old hat now a bit, but obviously, this came out last Wednesday and the country's been reeling from it. And, it's finally happened. I think something we all thought would happen for about the last year and a half has finally happened, the sort of battle between the Verstappens and Christian Horner. There's so much really gone on. I've sort of tried to make a list which you can react to whether you agree. It all started with the inappropriate behaviour accusation from a lady who worked there, which Red Bull's lawyers, solicitors, independent lawyers all said no, nothing to say there. The handling of Checo Perez, I think that was a bit of black mark. That was controversy that Red Bull didn't like. Then they lose Adrian Newey, lost their chief designer, Rob Marshall. And, of course, their sports director recently went, Jonathan Wheatley, that's having a great effect at Stake Alpine, isn't he? He's doing a real good job there. So all that was going on, the threat build-up. And I think the biggest thing was this threat of Max going to Mercedes. Now, this has all been, he's talking to them. Toto's talking to him. Toto's going to make the Mercedes decision in the summer break, which is after the Belgian Grand Prix, which is in a week's time now. So it was all hotting up that. And I think it was the Max to Mercedes equation.
I think this whole inappropriateness of the lady. I think it's all about that. I think it's because you just said it was cleared twice by independent Red Bull lawyers, but it's Red Bull. It's not independent. So if that hits the press,
the other thing that's interesting with what you're saying is the Red Bull, the shares that's changed. Did you read about that?
No.
So let's just go just quietly, because when it was all set up, the Thai half, almost half, Chalio Uvidia had 51%.
Yeah.
Whereas Red Bull's Dieter Matrix had 49%. And it was always that the Austrians supported sacking Horner and the Thais kept on keeping him in there with their 51%. But obviously both those shares have been inherited by the sons, because of course both have passed away. So we got Chalem, who was actually at the Austrian Grand Prix with Christian Horner in photos, and Mark Dietrich. But the big change was about 2 weeks ago, apparently, Chalem, who was the son of the founding Uvida, he had 2% of personal shares, which, according to the way I've read it, were transferred to a trust. They ran out of their timescale and they were automatically transferred to a trust about 2 weeks ago or something, or 3 weeks ago. Don't trust me on these timings. So all of a sudden, it was 49% against 49%. So then, the vote then was easier, I think, for the sort of the Verstappen Austrian side to push the Thai side into a giving way.
I think you're very creative. I can't see that's got anything to do with Christian Horner. I can't see it's got anything to do with it at all. But
because it helped the anti-Christian Horner half to kick him out because the vote was then level, so the Thais couldn't outvote them anymore.
20 years though of one of the most successful teams ever, certainly the most successful team in the last 20 years, and just done like that. It has to be because of this, well, in my opinion. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Speaking of comments, you had a comment you were just telling me about one of our
American followers. Yeah, was criticizing me about when I complained on Twitter that the racing will come to you later at Indycar was a bit boring last weekend, and he said, you guys don't like oval racing. This is on Twitter. Which I responded that we do, but I don't like boring oval racing. And also pointed out, and by the way, tell that Paul that Palou never claimed he was better than Max Verstappen. Will you take this challenge on?
Well, I think Palou did say that he is the best driver in the world. So by default, that means he's better than Max Verstappen.
But you just said, I think. You think?
I can't
Can you
verify.
not back it up slightly? Can you not back it up with something?
I can't.
Oh God!
I'm sure Alex Palou said that, but we say every week we're massive fans. He's a mercurial talent. He's unbelievable, but I don't think he's as good as Max Verstappen.
So, do you think that kicking out Horner had anything to do with Max will go to Mercedes unless you sack Horner? That's one of the theories going on. Nothing to do with that.
No.
But you don't believe it's my voting change that's changed the situation?
It's unusual for a driver to leave a top team, but they're not a top team now, are they? They're only a top team because of the driver.
What was, in your opinion, then, the straw that broke the camel's back, or whatever it is?
I think it's all going to resurface. I think, but there is absolutely no question that it's all going to resurface, and that there's no question there's a massive legal battle. In my opinion, there's a massive legal battle going on now, but then if that was the case, the logic would say Christian would step down because he doesn't want that to come out into the open. He would concede, but the battle's not against him; it's against Red Bull. So that's my opinion.
There was another thing, a South American friend of mine who's in with the South Americans who raced as well. He said Horner was already negotiating with Alpine to buy a share of Alpine. He's a mate of Flavio Briatore, and Enstone, where Alpine are based, is just down the road from Horner. So Horner can maybe see it coming, and he's already halfway into Alpine because Alpine lost their CEO Oliver Jakes, left. When his brother got into some trouble. They've got this Steve Nielsen is now managing director, but they haven't got a team leader at Alpine. So, or maybe even Jeremy Clarkson, who sponsors Alpine. Maybe he'll be the new CEO.
It's fascinating. It's really fascinating how the internet now, the world is such a small place because where the two jets, Toto Wolff was there on his yacht and his jet was in Sardinia. Max's jet was in Sardinia for 5 hours, 20 minutes. You can see it's all public now.
I haven't seen all that.
Yeah, so people knew that they were doing a deal. 5 hours, 20 minutes. People were saying, well, that's enough time to agree the contracts and to have lunch. And fascinating.
I'm tying my opinion to the mast that it was Horner goes or Max goes to Mercedes. So I now think Max will stay at Red Bull. Well, if he stays at Red Bull, that would half prove my theory. but I think it's dangerous because they've lost all those designers and team people in Red Bull. Are they going to be able to make a chassis? Is Honda engine going to be any good? Because they're the only ones.
They haven't lost all their designers. They lost Adrian Newey, and he's such a small part. Yeah, but he's such a small part of the team. The team's massive, Tiff, and there's some unbelievably talented people there. I think, knowing Christian Horner, it wouldn't surprise me if Netflix said, "Okay, we want to do an exclusive on you, a 3-part special on you, like they did with the likes of Molly May, etc." So yeah, I'll do that. It's a shame because he's so talented. He's obviously a very good guy, very intelligent guy, and he speaks very well. But it just became really irritating. He did after Abu Dhabi.
All the photos he brings in. Max is a millimetre ahead, and just kept on. He really lost the following of the
there's a nice
motorsport
way
fans.
to do these things. We'll come on to Formula E in a moment, but look at James Barkley, who's the team principal there. I just think that's what team principals should aspire to, that type of common sense and professionalism. He's right up there. So is it time for Formula E? Have I jumped the gun there?
No, it comes down later. Yeah. Well, he's just leaving Formula E because he's got a better
I know
job
he
to
is.
go.
I know. But I'm saying that's the type of
Now we go to
exactly.
World Endurance Championship next, because that's another controversial thing now. Because they headed off to Brazil.
Hang on a minute. Are we just like the two negative brothers? Do we just speak negatively for? Because I hope not. Because we want to get so much positivity across for the
Well, I
sport that we
know.
love.
Well, I know, but World Endurance Championship, which I do love, and Le Mans and stuff and sport, and it's fantastic. You know, there's 9 manufacturers and so many drivers getting things, and Kubica wins at Le Mans. But of course, it does ride on this balance of power, making it attractive and not looking stupid. And to my mind, Brazil looked stupid because they'd changed the balance of power before Brazil. And the balance of power at Le Mans was different to the ones for the World Championship, because it's a very different circuit. That's got its own balance of power. But again, Ferrari won that quite easily. And again, they all felt a bit empty. But anyway, so the balance of power to Brazil, the way they present it to you, they took the first 3 races, which were dominated by Ferrari. They take every lap time of every car, of every manufacturer, and they put it all into a big stirring pot. And they come out with the answer that to make them all equal, we're going to do A, B, C, D, X, Y, and Z. And so Cadillac, who've been sort of, mid-pack and looking good, all of a sudden qualified first and third and finished first and second. And only one of the Porsches was on the same lap. Other races we've had, top 10 on the same lap.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, Cadillac, thanks to the balance of power, one has to say, and Ferrari, who obviously needed a bit of knocking back because they're a bit too good. I know you shouldn't have that sort of thing in proper sport, but this is the future with balance of powers. I mean, Ferrari qualified 9th, 14th and 17th and finished 8th, 11th and 12th. The great Toyota that dominated the sport earlier on until the other manufacturers came in and they've been tugged back a bit, they qualified 10th and last in 18th spot, and finished 14th and 15th, battling with the Aston Martins that had a good weekend and finished in 13th and 16th. So, and Toto Wolff, just to finish off the background, has just come out today and said, he's not going to take Mercedes into world sports cars because of balance of power. And if Brazilian fans love Ferraris, they're true die-hard fans. And you've seen the world sports cars, you've seen Ferrari dominate all 3 rounds so far, and win at Le Mans, and you're sitting there in Brazil in Sao Paulo waiting to wave your Ferrari flag. You bought your hat, you bought your T-shirt, and all of a sudden, where are our cars? Forza Ferrari. The ones at the back of the grid, you mean? So it just embarrasses, I think, the formula. And the Japanese with their Toyotas must be thinking, we've been at the front of this formula for 7 years or 6 years, how many years they've been pace setting. And they were last. One of them was the slowest. So I think it just brings the thing into disrepute. They've got to somehow change their computers or something. The problem is, I think, balance of power varies from track to track. So every track will have a different twist depending on how many tight turns which feature some cars and how many fast corners that feature other cars. So it's an incredibly, incredibly hard thing to do. But if they've got it that wrong in Brazil, lovely for Cadillac. Well done, boys. You deserve it. Jota, British team that run the cars now, so fantastic. They did, of course, win a championship running a private Porsche, Jota. So it's a great team. But I just think, that needs a big shake-up somehow. We can't have that sort of result happening much longer.
No, it's not fair to be that far, to be a lap off all of your cars when you're just dominating the sport. It'd be like, I agree. For once, I agree with you.
So I'm not moaning, but I'm just saying, I'm worried about our sports. I'm worried about Formula One because, next year's regulations, you and me, I think they're going to be a disaster. And they've got to get this balance of power right. Otherwise, other manufacturers might say, no, we're not going to do this anymore. We look stupid in Brazil. Meanwhile, MotoGP continued to entertain madly, as always, around this wonderful Sachsenring in Germany. This little it's all left-hand turn. It's an anti-clockwise track, which is unusual, more left-handers than right.
Tell me an anti-clockwise track in the UK other than Knock Hill that you can
It
do either way.
reverses itself once. Well, there isn't one.
Isn't there? Not a single one.
No. Goodwood, no. Knockhill, no. Alton Park, no.
Well,
There isn't one.
Knockhill, yes. Knockhill, yes. If you go,
Well,
because
only
it
when,
goes
but
both
not
ways.
for the
Yeah.
yeah. But no, we don't have. I don't know why we don't have anti-clock. Well, we don't. Maybe because the driver sits on the right-hand side, so we turn right more than left. I've no idea who just started them being clockwise, but they're definitely clockwise now. But yeah, God, they were falling off like it was wet and horrible in the qualifying, and in the sprint race, it was still a bit tricky when they started with the drying line coming. But Mark Marquez again, pole, won the sprint, won the Grand Prix. I mean, he's just so talented, and now he's got the best bike. But behind him, they were falling off like flies. I mean, there were only 10 finishers. I think only 18 started because a couple were in hospital or too battered to race again. A couple that had crashed in the sprint race. And Alex Marquez, bless him, coming back with his broken wrist, all in a bit of plaster or whatever he was in. He qualified fifth, I think.
These boys are tough.
He was eighth in the sprint race, but he came through to finish second in the Grand Prix behind his brother. And actually, Pecco Bagnaia and the other factory Ducati alongside Marquez was third. So it looked like a normal podium that we've seen, you know, in all the races coming up to now. But in fact, there are about 5 riders between Mark Marquez and Alex Marquez in the opening laps. And they were going. Pedro Costa was one of the first to go down in a big shunt. There's this turn 1 where they all drop it like mad. Marco Bezzecchi, I think it was, who was second on his Aprilia, dropped it at turn 1. It was an incredible carnage of everyone trying to chase Mark Marquez, who just went on sublimely forward as he does.
I know you're not a massive fan of stats, but I'm going to give you a quick bit of stats because this is, pretty impressive to say the least. So Lorenzo had 47 MotoGP wins. Mick Doohan, I didn't know, 54 MotoGP wins.
Big Mick.
This is the top 5, by the way. Agostini, 68. And then Mark Marquez now has 69, so he's second only to, of course, the most wins would be
Valentino Rossi.
Very good, 89. So he's 20 behind Valentino Rossi. The way he's going, he'd do that this season. I don't know how many races are left.
Can't count sprints, don't can it? It's got to be only Grand Prix.
I don't know. That's a good point. Hopefully, it only counts Grand Prix. It's a bit like when they do stats nowadays for football, but there's international football, for example, but they play so many different games now, and they play teams from all over the world, which they always have done, but nowhere near as on the scale that they do now.
Not as bad as Formula 2 counting reverse grid wins.
Yeah, there needs to be an asterisk next to a reverse grid win because it's still very good, very special. And I would milk the hell out of it, let me tell you. But there needs to be an asterisk next to a reverse grid.
But GP2 and GP3, we've only got 3 riders in the whole of GP1, GP2, GP3 Moto GPs. But out of our 3 riders, we had 2 pole positions in the wet on the qualifying on Saturday. Jake Dixon
was back
to form on pole, but he got pushed wide at turn 1 by someone that then got a lapse penalty, a long lap penalty. That dropped into 5th. Then he was battling up to catch the front 2 when he got someone come up in the inside of him and pushed him wide again. He didn't go down, luckily, but he lost the lead too. So finished 3rd, which is his best result for several Grand Prix. But he was angry. Jake's always smiling. Jake Dixon on the podium when he wasn't smiling. So that was a bit of a shame. Then with this wonderful Scott Ogden, who we keep on following, bless him, as we keep on supporting the Brits. And all weekend in the dry, he finished fastest in the dry, I think, after the final free practice. But quali was wet. And he put it on pole for the race. In fact, I tweeted, "Well done, Scott Ogden." And he actually tweeted back, replied, saying, "Thanks, but I actually thought I was more likely to be on pole. It was dry." So he almost wasn't expecting to be quickest in the wet.
Wow.
So then he sets off. And it looked really confident out front. He led for a while, dropped to 2nd. But then it's this aggression factor we keep on saying that he knows, like when he's in the pack, turn 1, he'll lose 2 places, But the other little kids kept on picking him off into turn 1. He was doing it safe by breaking late on the racing line. But these other children, they see half a gap. They're a bit like, Senna would say, and they're just up the inside of you, and he gets pushed wide and he'll lose 2 spots. And he just got gradually pushed back to about 9th. He's still only half a second off 1st place, because it's just a pack. But he wasn't getting back through the pack like others did. He's still got to be a bit braver and bolder. And
Yeah,
eventually,
but you know what it's like.
He fell off. He fell off, put it in the gravel, and retired.
You know what it's like. It's like catering racing when you're following you're on the racing line. You're following someone inches away from them, and then somebody dive bombs you, and then
Yeah.
following them,
Oh
you've got a
yeah.
whole train of people. So
Yeah.
you can on one corner lose three
But
places so easy. Then
yeah,
you're out of position.
but Scott doesn't dive bomb back.
Yeah, okay.
There was a Japanese kid
But
that
neither
half
do
fell
I.
off.
I'm not a dive
No.
bomber. I'm not. That's
There
why I
was a
don't win
Japanese
races.
guy, the only Honda. They're all KTM's at the top 9. The only Honda, and he had a big moment, dropped back to be right in front of Scott. So I thought, right, Scott, follow him. And this Japanese kid went boom, de boom, de boom, de boom. Man, he did fall off on the last corner trying to get a podium place, but the race was run by David Munoz with a really good last corner lunge. This wild child Spanish kid that seems to be finally maturing, having been criticised by the commentators for years for making ridiculous lunges. And Jake Dixon was third behind the Turk. Dennis Onchu won the GP2 from the Belgian Barry Baltas. Probably don't pronounce it Barry Baltas in Belgium, but anyway,
That sounds a bit more exotic.
Barry. But wonderful entertainment. I mean, that's just a great track. Huge banks of spectators, smoke bombs going off, and it's just a tight bull ring of a track. Entertainment guaranteed.
For bikes.
Unlike Formula E, which I don't think entertainment is ever given, let alone guaranteed. Off they went to the streets of Berlin, well, to be more exact, the apron of the Tempelhof Airport, with hardly any grandstands, about a few hundred people, but probably a couple of thousand. I didn't watch the races because I find them dull. It was a bit wet in race 1, which was won, but Jaguar had a really good weekend. They won both races.
They're back.
Mitch Evans won the first race with some damp conditions. I watched a bit more of race 2, which was the one, because Oliver Rowland retired in race 1, so he's losing but he managed to finish 4th in race 2, which was enough points to secure the title. But that was one of those peloton races. They're all droning around, overtaking after you. And no, it's not entertainment for me. But all the pack of cars. If you're an outsider watching a motor race the first time, and you see 20 cars going around in a pack, you're thinking, wow, But we all know they're all just backing. Taylor Barnard had a new tack. He tried to make a break for it. He got his time attack mode and then shot away from the pack. So now he was like going for or bust. And a bloody full course yellow comes out, and he still had 2 minutes left of his attack mode, extra horsepower. And instead, they all caught him up. He spent 2 minutes with his attack mode leading the safety car, and then he run out of power. So you don't know who's going to win until the last 2 laps or 3 laps. But yeah, Jaguar, good weekend. Good. They've had a horrible first half of the season.
They have, and they're the current champions, as you know. I tell you who else is a really impressive guy. Sylvain Filippi. I don't know how you pronounce his name, but he's the Envision Racing team principal. He was a really impressive guy as well.
Who are Envision? They've got Jaguar engines.
Yeah, they have.
So what is Envision? Do you know what Envision is? I don't know what Envision is.
They're the world's biggest wind turbine company. Chinese company. So they're all about green and sustainability.
Formula E news, of course, is that McLaren have been unable to sell their Formula E franchise because nobody wants to really be in Formula E anymore.
Well, I'm telling you now, Tiff, that's the beginning of the
20 end. Cars.
Yeah,
down to 20 cars next season.
I'm telling you now that unless they get some weird sponsor that just wants to hemorrhage money, they're going nowhere. Because the problem is they might be exciting for fans, new fans of motorsport. I think they want to see motorsport. It's not for existing. There's no question about that. And you don't get entertainment when you're there, because the entertainment when you go to a race live, you've got such a massive gap, and they can't put on a support series because there's no electric support series. And they've got to stay sustainable. So it's on a hiding to nothing. And with McLaren pulling out, that's a big blow to them. Yeah.
But they're all in London in a couple of weeks' time. Yeah, can't see. But
congratulations to Ollie Rowland.
Well, yeah, because I love Oliver Rowland. I've watched him in Formula 2 and Formula 3. He should be an Indycar or he should be World Sports Cars now. But the great thing is he's earning a lot of money as a professional racing driver. He's a world champion. And Formula E needs the best drivers to make these things work, to play with the computer and end up saving a bit more energy than anybody else. So there's a lot of talent in Formula E, without a doubt, and they're earning good money.
Huge.
So I'm sure they're reasonably happy, but they're probably looking at an Indycar or a World Sports Car and thinking, well, can I get a ride in one of those?
And also, Tiff, the calendar is quite short, so they're well, not short, but it's there aren't as many races as most other series, so they could do other stuff. A lot of them did Le Mans, for example, so they can do other stuff. But yeah, you give any of them the option, despite what I was told by a very senior team principal said they all choose to be here. Absolute bollocks. They don't choose to be there. You give them a Formula One drive or an IndyCar drive, they'll bite their hand off. In my very humble opinion.
So I thought that a good link then to IndyCar, which rushed around this 0.87 mile Iowa oval, which I checked in Wikipedia, has 30,000 seats, which must have been occupied by about 300 people.
I know, it's such a shame.
I mean, it's amazing
because what's happened with the crowds?
I don't know, IndyCar promotion. I did read it because I looked, there was a bit of it on Twitter, and someone sort of said they tried to buy tickets a week ago. They're all sold out. Well, I mean, whether some ticketing agency, dodgy ticketing agencies bought up 3,000 seats and then going bankrupt because they can't sell them, I don't know. But Iowa's never been an exciting race. It's an amazing 180 miles an hour, just flat out.
Still, you're coming to your county, your state, your town, your city.
It's like a Grand Prix.
Exactly. So you go and watch it. We're probably on the same algorithm on X, but David Morgan said it's so depressing. The crowd's so depressing at Iowa would be an understatement. And I think you probably read the same sort of tweets or X link comments. But really, really sad to see so few people, because it should be spectacular. Take your sons or your daughters.
But it's not that spectacular. But they just go and once you see them do 20 laps, 180 miles an hour, nothing happens. Nothing happens because they can't overtake. It's just, I mean, occasionally there was some overtaking when someone got bad qualifying, or who crashed. Scotty McLaughlin crashed in qualifying, so he had to start at the back of both races. So he was coming through the pack, which was quite exciting. But I mean, Joseph Newgarden, dominated both races. But in the first race, literally had a slower in pit stop out lap because Pato O'Ward had been following him and just got undercut. So it was just a slower pit stop because there was no way they were going to overtake on the track. But they're very equal cars. You just cannot get by. So Newgarden was going to win the first race, ended up second. And in the second race, he was dominating again, went for a green flag pit stop, one of the first to do it. And as soon as he's in the pits, the yellows came out for a crash. So he then has to start at the back of the pack because all the others come in. So he lost both races when he should have won them both. But I mean, I don't mind a bit of that sort of gambling. So adds always a bit of a twinge. But it seemed like if you're in a Andretti car, your front right tire burst and put you in a wall. A lot of people swapped ends. Siegel, I think, they wouldn't let him race on Sunday because he went in. They're going backwards. They just swapped ends. McLaughlin had that in qualifying. It's pretty frightening when you're on board because the guy's just looking like it's all fine. And then, boom, the back end's gone and you're going into the wall backwards at 140 miles an hour. So, but yeah, I mean, Alex Palou won the second race with the Dixon.
Other than NXT, which we'll come on to, do they have any? Are there support races? Do they have any small stuff going on?
Funny enough, the . race was on the Saturday. So I looked at the Saturday race, there was no crowd. I thought, well, they'll all be in tomorrow for the Sunday for the big race. But I don't think they have US 2000s. Or I think it is only the one race, which quite surprising.
It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is.
You need to fill the day.
Yeah. So there's always something going on.
The crowd was so small. And I've said before on this channel, I think a sport doesn't work unless there is a crowd.
I agree.
If you watch the Egyptian Tennis Open or something with 3 people, even though there might be great players playing because there's good prize money, you don't. Even watching on the television, there's not that the excitement of the event when there's nobody watching it.
Watching sport through COVID was weird with empty stadiums. So strange.
And the NASCAR boys, it's always a bit of a
Indian NXT before we go to NASCAR, because there was a special winner this week.
And Miles Rowe, the much talented black kid who's finally had his first black kid to win an oval race, wasn't it? I think they're coming up with some stat like that. But he's a really talented young driver. And
his first Indian NXT black kid to win. So,
and also, but the Indian NXT is dominated by Andretti. And again, we talk about GP2, Formula 2, Formula 3. If you get in with the wrong team, because our boy last year, Foster, he was with Andretti, and so was Jamie Chadwick. And they were always 1, 2, 3 on the grid and finished 1, 2. No, they always finished up front with the Andretti car. Whereas Rowe, in his second, he's always not been an Andretti car. I think it was Able Motorsports or something. So how good his talent is, but he's certainly in the lower form. He dominated, I think, in US 2000. So if he got an Andretti car next year, I reckon he'd probably win all the rounds. Who knows?
Tiff, I'm just so worried. Are we allowed to actually say someone's black? I mean,
yes,
I'm sure we are.
Claim,
yeah.
don't they? Yeah.
Because obviously there's absolutely not even an ounce about it. It's praise, but the woke brigade won't. I don't know.
I don't like picking him out, a winner. I don't like picking anyone out because of the first female, or the first black, or the first Jewish person, or the first Christian, or the first transgender. I don't like those stats, really. They're all racing people. They're all just people racing.
People. We're all
I don't
people.
think you have to highlighting these, I mean, even Lewis Hamilton, he's got a white mother and a black father, and, it's all mixed up, isn't it? But, it's a funny world.
Hang on, just to clarify, it's not mixed up. It's not mixed up. It's not mixed up in a bad way. It's just all. Yeah. You brought that Let's
up.
get to NASCAR. Let's please.
You brought that up.
Well, yeah, because I don't want to. I don't want people to point fingers wrongly, because it's just what a weird world we live in when we got to.
But anyway, we have highlighted a talented
NASCAR
racing driver called Miles Rowe, who won last weekend, and congratulations to
Miles Rowe.
And that's NASCAR, which is Shane Van Gisbergen loaded up his car in Chicago and popped down to California, to Sonoma, and just dominated in a most unbelievably dominant style, which made for a bit of a boring race. Because, only Chase Briscoe was sort of just about staying with him. But it just has an incredible spot. Okay, Sonoma's always exciting. It's uphill, it was twisting. So watching the big NASCARs around there is quite fun. There's a lot of pushing and shoving in the midfield. But when this New Zealander is just embarrassing them all out front, he's got a good team, Trackhouse. They have Ross Chastain. But Ross was sort of top 5 or 6 for a while. But it's amazing how quick he is, and how.
Why is that embarrassing? That's fantastic. We don't say it's embarrassing when Verstappen.
Embarrassing for the Americans.
No,
it makes for a bit of a boring race when it's right from the word go. You think, well, this guy's good. He actually survived 3 late pace car yellow flag restarts through crashes going on. The midfield boys got a bit rowdy towards the end of the race, got fed up with being pushed and shoved, and so there was a lot of people going off, and so he kept having to start again. And again, he took all 3 restarts, with Chase Briscoe alongside him, and he just got them, had to do a bit of elbow shoving, shoulder shoving with Briscoe, and got the lead again to win. And he's an incredible talent. It's brilliant. But again, you worry about cars and getting the right setup. And in motorsport, because Kyle Larson, my hero, the 5 car that the Needell family follow, dominated last year in the same way as Van Gisbergen did this year. He was just mid-pack, struggling. And you would have thought they got the setup from last year. But apparently they're all surprised when they turned up at the track. It was a bit slicker. It was a lot slippier than last year. So, but yeah, it's funny. So Larson went nowhere. But Shane Van Gisbergen, and what a character when he gets out, he kicks a rugby ball into the stand now to tell him what rugby balls should be used for, not American football crash helmets on. So, yeah, great character, great interviews, great burnouts, great celebrations. So very entertaining at the end, but a long route to get to the end.
Your links are getting better and better with the burnouts. You're going to Goodwood now, aren't you?
Well, no, Goodwood comes last. Back home, we got Donington World Superbikes, all a bit boring, because guess who won all 3 races? Top Brack Resgatlio. Guess who was second in all 3 races? Nicola Buliger. And of course, Buliger on the Ducati won the early races with Resgatlio was second. But now Top Brack's got his BMW going because they changed the regulations slightly, that tuned him down a bit at the beginning of the year. And he's now back in the lead of the championship. Not back in, he's in the lead of the championship, overtaken Nicola. It's 345 points against 341. So just a 4-point gap.
All right, Statman.
Yeah, I just thought I'd have that one because it was a lot of numbers, but only a small gap.
And what's third place? Have you got third place there? How far apart?
No.
Well,
Must be miles behind.
I'm sure our listeners would have loved to have known that.
British GTs were up at Snetterton, where the Mercedes came first and second in race 1, first in race 2, where the Lamborghinis picked up a third place in race 1 and second and third in race 2. So you wanted to be either a Mercedes or a Lamborghini driver at the weekend.
How did Barwell do?
They were the Lamborghinis. They are the Lamborghinis. So they had 3 podiums, but no wins. Again, balance of power. They have advantages at Alton Park and places. They're really good at corners, but the straight line speed of both the Mercedes and the McLarens is quicker than the Lamborghinis. Because, fair enough, because over a lap, the Lamborghinis gain much more time in the corners. And so obviously when you go from track to track, there's a Mercedes McLaren track and there's a Lamborghini track, and that's how you have to accept it. Some weekends you're not going to win because it's not the best track for you. But you can't really change that balance of power from track to track. Otherwise, everyone will go mad, or maybe you should. I don't know.
So I know you've spoken to us all about, and I did bring your book with me on holiday. I will try and read it, but I feel like I kind of know the stories. But you've spoken to us all about you went to Goodwood as a child. So obviously your brother Chris, who runs Barwell Motorsport, did as well. He's
too young. He's 16 years younger than me, and Goodwood was closed before he was born, so he didn't go to Goodwood.
So how did he form his love? Was that through you and your father then, I guess, through being 16 years younger?
Well, me racing, yeah. So he wanted to have a go. He had a go. He bought a Formula First car, which was that wonderful, where you could buy them on hire purchase. About 60 of the things got bought, I think, and crashed around every corner of every track in Britain. There was carnage in Formula First, which Formula First, funny enough, it was what Chris drove and raced, but that was the car that got me on Top Gear. Because it was the Formula First was launched in 1987, when Chris was about 19 or something. And that was the car I drove on Top Gear because Chris Goffey broke his ankle. So the Formula First car.
So what if that was the case? That makes him 1971, but surely he was younger than that, 1967 or something?
Yeah, he was born in 68, I think.
68,
so this was 87. Formula First was launched. So he had a go at that. He won a few races, won a sports car race. But
has he got your sort of brain, your sort of engineering brain?
Obviously
drive
not.
as well.
No. It's got
it's got the talent.
He'd always drive faster and faster until he crashed. He was a faster and faster until he crashed merchant. We didn't have the budget to continue that path of car education. But they enjoyed it.
We spoke about team principles quite a lot on this chat for once. But it's quite interesting, what their brains, because most of them are engineers by default, or mechanical engineering.
He's not the engineer. Mark Lemmer's the engineer of the Barwell. Chris is the commercial manager. Chris sorts out the sponsors, and so no, he's not getting involved in tactics.
Can't he get us a sponsor for this? We don't need like a front wing cost. We could do it properly then.
The sponsors all come through drivers mostly.
I don't have to share a room with my daughter then.
And of course, the place to be probably in Britain, if you weren't at Donington with the bikes or Snetterton with the GTs, it was the glorious Goodwood, the festival. I didn't go this year. Nobody asked me, so I didn't go. But the Duke, it's amazing. The Duke of Richmond comes up with so many, every year there's something new. He got 7 Formula One champions there for the same day. Stewart, Fittipaldi, Prost, Mansell, Villeneuve, Andretti and Hakkinen, all there in their overalls. So it's great for the crowds.
Brilliant.
Of course, it was the Gordon Murray celebration. So Gordon Murray's cars won the Brabham Grand Prix car, and I don't know what car was up the top, but it was an F1
T50
or
maybe.
One of his. I don't know, but they were up on the great stature. And then, of course, it's all about supercars and hypercars on the YouTubers. We're all pouring pictures. But I mean, I had to laugh because I watched the Goodwood.
Don't laugh at the
video.
BMW crashing. Don't laugh.
No, there weren't many crashes. That one BMW, someone put the M2 into the wall. M2,
M3.
It was
M3 touring.
was it? But it was all these. These supercars and the hype. I've almost lost interest in them. Yeah. We've got 1,800 horsepower and it's 10 million pounds. We'll be making 2 of them, and but the funniest thing was, they all crept up the hill. Everyone, with its salesman or someone or its tame racing driver. But it's obviously they're scared stiff of the things. They weren't ever. Nobody unleashed 1,600 horsepower. And you got this Bugatti Bolide, which looks like a Batman car, doesn't it? So all the YouTubers love it. I'm sure Supercar Blondie has made 3 million viewers and earned a fortune out of the Bugatti Bolide. But it just crawled up, And it's designed, Bugatti call it a high-speed track driving design, with 1,608 litre W16 quad turbo, $4 million. But you can't use that sort of power on a narrow track. Whereas a Porsche 911 GT3 came out, and wow, that was fantastic. It was on the limit, it was roaring down the straights and round the corners. But these hypercars, and they're called a mega car, someone's trying to claim now. They can't use all that stupid power that they claim they've got, because the computer traction control will say you have about 300 horsepower.
Take that on a windy road in the south of France or Italy. You'll take a 911 GT3 RS any day of the week.
They're all 2 meters wide, bouncing. I mean, they're track cars. I mean, either enter World Endurance Championship, build a car Bugatti, and go and race against Toyota and Cadillac and whoever. I mean,
they're not track cars.
It's PR.
They're not track cars. They're posing cars. I've got more money than you, car. That's what it is. Not that I'm bitter or jealous. I'm not. I'm genuinely not. My hat's off to anyone who can afford those sort of cars.
Just buy them and put them in their private museums. They never come out.
Well, some people drive them. You got Andy Bruce, Megan's father from Caterham. He's got some unbelievable cars. He drives the living daylights out of them. Jason Barker, who we did
what name a car? What level? Not a real.
Oh, you name it. Pagani, Zonda, Enzo.
Yeah, Zonda's okay, Enzo, but they've got bigger now than that.
Yeah, true. But he's got some modern day stuff. He's got the T50, which is actually quite small. The Gordon Murray T50. Jason Barker as well. Remember him? He's got McLaren P1 or had. He did a couple of drag races with us, and he uses his, drives them on track.
So but again, you're talking the slightly smaller. You're talking the slightly older generation. You're not talking about these latest things that crawl up the hill.
I'm thinking it will come to me next week. I'll have a list of people that actually drive their cars. They're not garage queens, but there are many.
Let us know. Right. Were you impressed with the hypercar mega cars at Goodwood, or do you think they're all a bit slow and just looking pretty?
Well, this is motorsport, but I will say there is a lot of controversy at the 6 hero car from Ferrari. So there's 288 GTO, F40, F50, Enzo, LaFerrari, and now this new one that's come out. What is it? An S80 or something? I don't even know. But it's a 3-litre hybrid twin turbo thing or something like that, as opposed to the last. Well, they've all been 12-cylinder V12. So a little bit different, but it looked nice. They're too wide, too unusual. What's up next week, Tiff? What's coming up next week?
Next week. Well, America should be the place to be. The Indycar will come back to entertain, because they're on the streets of Toronto, one of the best street circuits out. This huge long straight. And that is always an exciting race. It probably won't be this weekend after I've said that. The MotoGP boys are out at the Czech Brno circuit, which is a bit of a wide open, not quite so exciting, but a very good racing circuit. So that'll be good. The MotoGPs. The World Rally Championship heads to the gravel roads of Rally Estonia, where Elfyn Evans still tries to hang on to his points lead.
Forest.
But he'll be sweeping the road again, Elfyn. So again, he's going to be the first on course. But luckily for him, Sebastian Ogier is not there. So Sebastian, the part-timer, that's the second in the championship, the part-timer. But Ott Tanak, who's closing in. Ott Tanak with the one looking to put more pressure on Elfyn. NASCAR may be good, maybe bad, won't guarantee it, around the famous Monster Mile at Dover. Sometimes they have good races, sometimes a bit processional. But, that's a bit like that. But at least for NASCAR, you've got another one next weekend. If you get bored one weekend, there's another race next weekend.
Did you write down the intro this week or not? Or you just did it? Did you type it or just write it down?
No, type it.
Oh, send it to Phil then.
It's on your email.
Notes. Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll send it to Phil. Look forward to seeing you next week. And give us some comments. Let us know, because it's always great to hear whether they're good or bad. And you think we're lousy or good. But challenge us. Let us know your comments below if you can. He reads them anyway. See you next week. Bye.
See you in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no supercars. Aussie Supercars was last weekend in Queensland, where I'm going.
I forgot them. Yeah,
there's none for another month, which is such a shame. But next time, cheers.